hello to whoever has stumbled upon this video. This is my first upload in a while, sorry about that. I was kind of busy the last couple months with an internship, but now it's over, so I have free time again. So I'm just trying to get into drawing more regularly again, because it's been a minute. So for my first speed paint in a while, I thought I would draw Hanyuu Furude, who is my personal favorite character from the Higurashi no Naku Koro ni series, also known as When They Cry, also known as When the Cicadas Cry, etc. And also, this is me trying to relearn how to draw in an anime art style because it has been a minute. Personally, I went through my major weeb phase in middle school, which was like 10 years ago now, which is really weird to say. So let me explain higurashi, since, you know, that's what this video is about, or the speed paint, whatever. And it is a very exciting thing for me to talk about, because it is my favorite anime, because it was my gateway anime, you know, my first kind of anime series I got into. For more context, Higurashi actually started as a visual novel series that was released in like the early 2000s, and then it was adapted into a manga and an anime, and it's also, the visual novels have also been adapted into games for like, you know, consoles and stuff, including some, you know, chapters of the visual novel which have only been released on consoles and stuff as video games, but unfortunately most of those have not been localized, at least in the United States, so I haven't really been able to experience those. But I've read a couple of the visual novels. I read, I think, all of the like equivalent to the first season of the anime I've read of the manga, and I've read up to a certain point in Kai of the manga, but I've seen the entire anime. But the reason it's on my mind again right now is, for those who may not know, is that currently, Higurashi has kind of a sequel slash reboot season going on called Higurashi Gao, which is Karma, which I have thoughts on why it's called Karma, but I'll get into that later. But basically, it was marketed as a reboot, but by like the second episode, especially, it was very clear that it could also be functioning as a sequel. Like, I'm hesitant to say newcomers should not watch Gao, like, because it's definitely keeping a lot of the same mysteries as the original first season and the original visual novel chapters, but it's also kind of revealed some of the stuff that we didn't learn until like the second season of the anime, or those chapters of the visual novel which came later. So I don't know, it's kind of all over the place, but to kind of go into, for anybody curious about Higurashi or who's just watching this and wants to know more, the way that Higurashi works is that the narrative functions with this really rigid, I guess you could say, arc system, in that, you know, like in a lot of like Western shows, you know, we have story arcs. Like, you know, maybe for like half a season, the characters are all working to fight this one same bad guy, so all the episodes for that one half of the season kind of form this arc, you know? But with Higurashi, the arcs are very, like, literal, as in, like, the first 4 episodes of the anime is, like, one self-contained story, and then on episode 5, it's like the world has been rebooted, and it's the same characters, but then different stuff happens, and different characters make different choices, and you end up at a completely different ending, and then 4 episodes later, it starts all over again, and it's super confusing and overwhelming. And also, I gotta say, I watched Higurashi in middle school, which probably was not great, because part of this whole arc system is that it's like a horror murder mystery anime, and so basically what's happening is, in every arc, some bad shit goes down and people die as a result of different people and different decisions each time. The whole first season is just that, it's just different arcs happening that seem to be not connected, but they are. And basically what's happening is, the first half of the first season is question arcs, which, you know, they'll show like stories at the face value and just be like, well, here's the characters, here's what they do, then they die, the end. And then the second half of the show has answer arcs, or the second half of the first season rather has answer arcs, which then they'll either tell the same story but from a different perspective, so then you see like, oh, that's actually what was happening behind the scenes, or it'll be a completely new story that then touches on mysteries from a previous arc and then clears them up to then have the story in the new arc like pan out. It's really hard to explain without spoiling it, so there's that. And so what the second season does is that it actually then explains why the narrative is that way, and like what's actually going on, and like what's trying to be accomplished. And also, I should add that Hanyuu, my favorite character, is introduced in the second season, so I guess she existing on your screen right now is kind of a spoiler, but it's fine. And so like I said earlier, we have Higurashi Gao, which is currently airing, and it's just been a really fun experience because, you know, when I watched the original, read the original and stuff, that story had been wrapped for like years. Like, everybody pretty much knew everything, and so it was just a matter of me playing catch up and then getting to that point. This new anime, or this new season, instead of being adapted from a visual novel chapter, is completely new, so pretty much everybody's kind of in the same boat trying to figure out what is happening. So that's really exciting. I can't talk about Gao without going into some of my just personal thoughts on it and what's happening. And I have to also add that I am recording this on a Wednesday night, which means there will be a new episode by the time this video probably goes up, because new episodes come out on Thursday mornings for me. Which, okay, can I just also add real quick how weird of an experience it is? Like, you know, Higurashi Gao had the distribution rights for the US have been through Funimation, so I can actually watch the new episodes as they come out on Hulu, which is super weird, because I'm used to watching Higurashi, like the original series, on like the super sketchy like anime sites where like if you literally click anywhere you immediately get assaulted by ads. Like, that was my Higurashi viewing experience, and also just binge watching it. So watching it now with commercial breaks and only one episode a week is quite a time. That's really cool. But now here is where I will put spoiler warning for Gao from this point further. Okay, I'm recording this. The last episode that aired was the 10th episode, which basically ended with Satoko coming to school and having her breakdown after Keiichi tried to pet her and stuff, which that was a very intense episode. But wow, I don't even know what's going on. First of all, okay, the karma thing, I saw somebody on Tumblr say how, you know, if you take everything that's happened so far at face value, the karma thing really makes sense, because, you know, obviously we had, like, the first arc, I don't remember the names of any of the arcs, so sorry about it, but, you know, the first arc where in the original chapter, the visual novel and stuff, Keiichi's the one who develops Hinamizawa syndrome, and, you know, he ends up killing Rena, Mion, yeah. But then this time around, like, you know, he started to have those kind of suspicions, but then Rika stopped him, but then it turned out Rena was the one to develop the symptoms and make that choice to, like, act out violently toward a friend. And that is, I guess, in a way, karma for what Keiichi did to her in the original arc. So that was definitely interesting. And then, of course, if we take the second arc at face value, which, as we all know from the original and, like, Meikashi Hen, I think is the one that it's called, where it's the answer arc, Shion was the one originally pulling the strings, and, you know, Mion was a victim of that. Obviously, air quotes with their names, because we all know the truth of that. But now, if it's really Mion, which I think at the very least in the scenes that we saw Mion with Keiichi, locking him up and stuff, I think that was definitely the real Mion. I don't know what happened between, like, her and Satoko or her and Shion, but at face value, if we believe that she was the one who, like, committed, you know, these crimes and stuff, then that also makes sense, and that was karma against Shion. But now with this one, this arc, the, like, only, like, literal karma thing that would really happen, or, like, if you try to, like, think too literally about it, would be that Teppei actually would kill Keiichi, but I don't think that's true. But given that Shion suddenly appeared in this arc and is very friendly to Satoko in a way that, you know, we saw in Kai with, like, her being Satoko's, like, Nene and all that, I think it's likely that she would be the one to play the role of killing Teppei. I guess that might be too obvious, so that might not be what happens at all, but I think it would definitely be interesting to show her play that role instead, now that she seems to want to be taking on that role of Satoko's older sibling. And it's like, I think, in a way, I don't know if she's remembering past world, but she did, I believe she had a memory of the original arc where she developed symptoms and killed everybody. I think she remembered that in a dream in the massacre arc in Kai, so, you know, maybe there's still, like, some of that is lingering in her soul to make her have this total 180 from how she was in the original. But also, we haven't seen her since the first episode of this arc, so I'm also kind of suspicious about that. And honestly, I'm suspicious that we even actually saw the real Mion in the last episode, which, again, this might be all disproven by the time I upload this video, so rip. But I want to clarify, I'm not saying this because she couldn't remember the club rule, because I saw on Reddit, Mion has not remembered that club rule when talking to Satoko in past arcs like this. Okay, fine. But I think her forgetting her class rep duties was definitely interesting, and I don't remember Mion ever doing that before. And, like, I don't think I've played either the question or answer arc, at least in full, of, like, the Sonozaki twins, so I don't know, but I have seen people point out from one of the visual novels, I don't know if it was from a console game or something, where, like, when Shion was impersonating Mion, there was a moment where she was like, whoops, I forgot, I had to do this as the class rep. So, that is very interesting to me, and I just, I just want to know. Also, another theory I keep seeing is that Satoko is also looping with Rika, which I don't know if I believe that yet, because I don't know why she, out of all the people, would be looping. But I gotta say, Satoko has definitely been very suspiciously placed in the last 2 arcs, as in, like, she's just kind of shown up with a dead body at the end of the last 2 arcs, and that's super weird. With, like, no explanation. Like, the gun thing last arc, I don't get it. And in the first arc with her and Rika and the knife, I also just, like, I don't know. And then Rika is kind of in a weird place. Like, I get it. I want to know more about her life from, like, post Matsuri Bayashihen. Yes. I want to know more about her life from when she's older, basically. And what, happened to make her have to go back. Also, I thought it was weird at first that she was being so passive about this current arc and, like, helping Satoko and stuff. Because, obviously in the Massacre arc, they figured that out and were able to overcome that fate. And, Rika encouraged Keiichi, and then he taught her basically how they could defeat that fate in the future and stuff. Like, if she just repeated what she did there, that could have, done something. But then I remembered that she doesn't remember, like, the events of the Massacre chapter, I think, because if I recall correctly, in the final arc, Hanyuu had to tell her, like, she had to tell her that Takano was, the culprit and stuff, so, and I don't think she remembered anything from before that either, because she was surprised to hear that they defeated Satoko's fate with her uncle. So, and then in episode 2, when they revealed the whole Hanyuu thing, I think Hanyuu mentioned that she can't go into the worlds with Rika, or that she couldn't even tell her, like, information on what happened, so that is definitely suspicious. And I feel like that is an explanation for Rika's behavior, that especially, like, newcomers to the series who are starting with Gao, they're not going to pick that up. But I think for veteran people, like, I don't know, maybe that's what they want us to be thinking of, is, like, her memory loss from the Massacre chapter. Also, Takano and Tomitake, what is happening with them? Just everybody is so weird, and it's so weird that this is, like, all the arcs are being twisted now, and I just have so many questions because we haven't seen Hanyuu since that second episode. And then, of course, like, for the real ones out there, we know in the opening that they show a certain character from a certain other franchise connected to Higurashi, aka Umineko, which could be related to why it's so different. But I really don't know. And yeah, this whole video just mainly turned into me talking about Gao theories, so sorry it's really long, but I just have so many thoughts on this, and nobody I know has really watched Higurashi in full or gotten this, like, into it as me to, like, talk about it, so I just needed to rant about it somewhere. I don't know when this video will be up. It'll probably be up after, like, the new episode comes out, unless I just do, like, a middle of the night posting situation tonight. But I am very intrigued to see where it will go from here, because there's just so many things not adding up. And I believe after this arc, I don't know how many episodes are left in this arc, but I believe I was reading earlier that this should be kind of the midway to where they will then go into, like, yo, this is actually what was happening and stuff. Though I have to say, I'm a little surprised, at least as of right now. I think there's only 1 season of Gao confirmed. I don't know if they're gonna make a second season or what, but, like, obviously we all know how long it took Rika to defeat her fate the first time, and just how long it took them to set up for that, like, because the whole first season was literally just setting up for that and stuff. So I just don't know how quickly they can wrap up that storyline when they're, you know, basically replicating the structure of the first season, which means going through new mysteries and then having to solve all those mysteries, and then you have to be like, okay, now we're like getting into the Rika stuff. So I don't know, I just have a lot of questions, which is probably everybody's experience. But yeah, I will be watching with great interest. And, you know, if I feel inclined to do so again, maybe I'll draw somebody else and just ramble for like 20 minutes with my thoughts on it, because, wow, just, I can't believe out of all the things that happened in 2020 was Higurashi coming back, but I'm so glad it did, because it's honestly one of the few good things that happened this year. But yeah, anyway, so that's it for this video and for my drawing of Hanyuu. I did not even talk about the drawing at all. The only thing that I really wanted to comment on with the drawing is, with the background, I literally don't know how to do backgrounds at all, but since I was playing the visual novel recently, I decided to kind of go for that vibe of the art from the visual novels, which had a lot of like blurred backgrounds and just like emphasized the focus on the characters. So I was like, oh, I can just draw a background that looks like whatever and then blur it, and then boom, it has that higurashi visual novel aesthetic. So that was the move here. So to whoever's watching this, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hopefully I will upload something again in a timely fashion, but you know, who knows anymore. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that basic YouTube stuff. Yeah, that's it. That's the end. Bye for now.